Hello, hello. Welcome back to the podcast. I am super happy to be with you, and I hope you're in a good place today. I am like in the middle of a monsoon at the time of this recording, so hopefully the power doesn't go out and we get this episode recorded because today's a good one. Today you get to see my full nerd in effect. My corny, weird self is here because we're going to be talking about formulas in your business, and more specifically, we're talking about creating formulas, acronyms, and maybe even silly names to make your systems more memorable. And the reason that I wanted to do this podcast, it really evolved out of talking with my students inside of the Staging Business School in the Accelerate programs. At the time of this recording, that is the program we have available for those business owners who have hit about 35K in revenue, but more importantly, they've hit the end of their bandwidth and they are looking to add team, or they have added team and they realize that the team could be functioning a lot better and it's actually causing them a lot more stress having team and a lot more kind of confusion for them inside their business. So in the conversations that we have had over the last 2 years inside of the Staging Business School, we have heard this where people are starting to implement systems, but the team is struggling to implement them fully. And I wanted to think back on my own business and think like, I know my team is not more magical than anybody else's team, but we have over the years done a pretty good job of implementing systems. Certainly things that involve technology are a little bit harder to implement, but in general, when it comes to many of the systems inside of our business, we're pretty good at implementing them. And I was thinking like, why is that? And I realized that I have created some memorable ways to get through our systems because the logistics, quite frankly, inside of a staging business are complex. And there are many, many steps to follow. And that can be quite challenging for people to remember. So I thought, let me share with you some of the little quirky things we've done at Rethink Home Interiors to help us remember how to get through our systems. And hopefully it helps you and you can maybe borrow some of ours or create some of your own. So when I think about formulas, I am thinking back to my days in pre-med where I had math, physics, and chemistry. Those were primarily the areas where formulas appeared in my life. And the professors would always say, as long as you know the formula, you can then plug and chug to get the solution every single time. As long as you've got that formula memorized, you just plug in the numbers where they need to go, you chug through the calculation, and out pops the right answer every time. And I must have brought some of this training to my own business. And actually, it works really, really well with how our brains are wired. So our brains need to conserve energy. And in a staging business, decision fatigue is really real. Our brains can get very tired from the amount of decisions we need to make, even from the very beginning of our business. Like, how do we price our services? When do I go on appointments? When do I have appointments? And all that stuff. And then right down to how do I style these spaces? And in the episode 67, which was June 15th of 2024, I talked about how to be ridiculously easy to work with. And that was about simplicity and predictability. And those were really essentially just formulas that your clients can get used to going through, right? So in your business, if you have predictable start and end times, then your clients get to know that those are your start and end times, and they can then sell your services much easier. If the onboarding process is predictable, they know exactly what to expect and when. If your deliverable is predictable, they know exactly what to expect and when, making it very easy for people to work with you. In this episode, really talking about how to be ridiculously easy to work for. So how can your team work with you because you are ridiculously easy to work for? So when I am thinking about formulas in my business, and I encourage you to think about this, I'm thinking about what is the most efficient path to get the results that we want, and what can be done in a reproducible way over and over again. So how can we create a process that my team can easily execute on over and over again? And then how can we minimize the need for decisions to be made over and over again? That is the most important, because when we're thinking about efficiency, the less or fewer decisions the team needs to make every time that we do something, the more efficient they become. And in our businesses, our staging businesses, any business for that matter, but in a staging business, if you're on your path to profitability, you've got a few key levers you can pull, right there. First of all, your pricing. And for many of us, that pricing might not even be right sized to the math in our business. That's a whole other episode. But pricing is one lever. Your operations, your operating expenses, making sure that those are as low as possible to increase your profitability is another one. And we know if you're operating, in particular, a vacant staging business, that is an operational expense heavy business in terms of infrastructure and inventory. So efficiency is one of the other levers that you can pull. And I talk about efficiency in a lot of ways in a lot of episodes when I talk about delegation and automation and all of that. So today is just one more way to think about how you can become more efficient. And that is through, like I said, formulas, acronyms, and silly names. So let's dive into some of the formulas that I have in my business. So I'm going to start with hands-on styling and packing and having everything that you need for your packing. So in the beginning of the business, we would inevitably get on site and we will have not remembered to bring things like our ladder or our steamer or something like that. So I first started by creating silly names for things. So let me tell you the couple of silly names we have for things that make these very memorable and must-haves in our packing process. So the first is our toolkit. Our toolkit, because it is full of everything, pretty much everything we need. I feel like for anybody who's old enough to remember MacGyver or MacGruber on SNL, MacGyver, this toolbox has legit like everything we need in it, from nails, hooks, poster putty, paint pens, stain pens, Sharpie markers, metallic Sharpie markers, hammers, level, art, hanging wire, wire clippers, scissors, all of it. So that has everything in it. So I thought, you know what, this toolbox is actually like magical. It is a magic toolbox. So we called it the magic box. And you never want to be on a site without the magic box, right? So that was the first kind of silly thing. So it was like, we wanted to make sure that we had the magic box on site with us, and we created like responsibility for the magic box. Who's in charge of the magic box? Then we had the beast. We created the beast. So what's in the beast? The beast is full of things that are a bit bigger that we need on every single site, right? So we need paper towels, we need toilet paper, we need extension cords, we need the steamer, we need window cleaner, we need anti-wrinkle spray, we need trash bags, we need zip ties, like all the things that don't fit inside the magic box are in the beast. Did I say steamers? Our steamers are in the beast. So we created a funny name around that. So the beast gets stocked by a team member, the magic box gets stocked by a team member, but that's something we want to remember to have on site. But even then, we still would occasionally miss the vacuum and or the ladder. So I created a thing called it's most valuable, MVLB. So the MVLB, the most valuable things that we need on the truck are the magic box, the vacuum, so that's the M, the V, the L is the ladder, and the beast. So when we remember that we need the most valuable things on the truck, the MVLB, it's a quick and easy checklist for my team to remember. So that's one fun little acronym we have inside of our business. The other one I have in terms of our admin is our naming of our folders, our Google Drive folders, and our Google Calendar information that we need to have for each project. So those are, it's not nearly as fun as Most Valuable, MVLB, but it's still a good one. It's NEPAR or NEPAR-LA, right? NEPAR. So what do those letters stand for? So N is the client name. So we need to know that. E is email. Phone is their phone number. A is the address. R is the realtor. So that's how our Google folders are named. So a Google folder in our business would be named, first of all, we have initials for the service. So if it's a styling evaluation, it's SE. If it's a photo styling, it's PS. If it's a vacant staging, it's VS, right? Then it is the name. So it would be Lori Fisher, my email address, my phone number, my address, and the realtor who's representing me. So that's our folder naming, and that's also our project naming inside of Asana. This way, when our team is in any location, whether it's their Asana tasks, their Google folder, or next to the calendar, because that's how it gets put into the calendar, they have the phone number, the address, everything at their fingertips in every one of those locations. And that came through team feedback. So we started out not having this nomenclature, but we landed on this over time with just refining. And some of these things will be trial and error. Now, the NEPAR-LA, the NEPAR-LA comes from, for a vacant staging, you need information about the lockbox, the access, and then any other information. So that's where our Google Calendar comes into play, because that is where we have the name, email, phone, address, realtor, and then in the notes section is the lockbox and access information and anything else our team needs to know to access the property, whether it is where there's a service elevator who they need to check in with, is the lockbox in a strange location, all of that, is the driveway slanted, so that our mover can see that. Do we need to, we typically park on the street in general, but our movers need to park closer, that kind of information. So that's the next one, NEPAR and NEPAR-LA, NEPAR and LA. All right, so that is one of our admin ones. Then we have formulas for install days or hands-on photo styling days. So for install days, we have an acronym that is RABLA. So this is how the order of operations. So rugs get laid first, art gets laid out in locations to be hung, bathrooms get styled and steamed while we're waiting for furniture assembly and, all of that moving in. Lamps and art get prepped for each room. So that's rugs, RAB-LA. R is rugs, A is art, B is bathrooms get styled, and then lamps and accessories. Sorry, did I say art? Accessories are prepped for each room. So you start laying those things out while the moving team is bringing in furniture. All of that gets done. We also have a kind of formula for styling our beds. So because we go through RABLA, one of the things we do is we plug in the lamps first. In particular, if the outlet is behind the bed, this is a really key thing to get done before your bed is installed. Hang art. We want to do that before we start making the bed. After years of us standing on the beautifully made beds that we did, we were like, what are we doing? Hang the art first over the bed. And then we have a 4-3-2-1. It's 4 bed pillows, 3 accent pillows, 2 bed covers, which is like a blanket that we use as our fitted sheet so we don't have to steam, and then our duvet or comforter, and then 1 throw. So that's the 4-3-2-1 formula. So that just helps our team know when pulling 4 items that that's what the expectation is for the beds in the staging. Now, we don't always have a throw, but if you want to do a throw, whatever. But in general, it just makes the team understand what to do so much better. So they have got plugging in lamps, hanging art, and then they go through their 4-3-2-1 to style the bed. So these are just like a few examples of what we have inside of our business. And it just really has made it so much easier for our team to execute. And there are so many more, but I'm not going to bore you with all of them. But I hope this is inspiration for you to get a little fun, get a little strange, get a little weird to help make things more memorable. Checklists are certainly helpful, and we have those as well. But what we found is that the more we could help our team rely on just their brains with these fun little things, the easier it made it for them to follow. They didn't need to open up a checklist and do all of that. But again, that might work in your business. So I do want to leave you with this, because I have heard from people too that they kind of going off of the episode where I talked about how to prioritize the staging SIPs information. You get a lot here because I've been in business for a long time, and you don't use the podcast to, I don't know, compare yourself negatively to where you are in your business. I hope you take this as the resource that it is, and that going back to that episode, you kind of figure out where you are in your business and what would be the most helpful for you to listen to for the podcast. What are some of the steps that would be most helpful for you to listen to? Because again, my business has had time to implement things that don't work like 1,000 times over, and then they do. And I just listened to a fabulous speaker. She is from Morgan Stanley, and she talked about the fact that, when you're a leader, you want to make sure that your team are allowed to fail, and that through failure, they learn, and they take that learning to the next kind of, iteration, and they fail and they learn, and then they go through the next iteration of what something is, and they fail, and then they learn, and then they got it, right? This is the same thing. So I want to encourage you, if you're listening to these things and going, oh my gosh, now I need to come up with acronyms or, funny things to call my names. And don't worry about it. You're going to implement systems, and they're not going to work, and you're going to learn from why they didn't work. And then you're going to tweak the system. So that's your iterate, right? You're going to implement, you're going to fail, you're going to iterate, you're going to implement, you're going to fail, you're going to iterate. So I just want you to remember that you may try some of these things, they may not work, or you're not even ready for them yet, right? Where you are right now may be in a completely different place from where my business has come in the arc of 13, I think, heading into 14 years of business. So anyway, that's just a little pep talk for you, a little mindset work for you. This has been your SIP for the week, and we do still have a couple of private coaching spots available. So if you are looking to get some one-on-one help and support for your business, we have 2 spots open for September. We filled one already, and we have 2 that are available. So you absolutely go to the show notes. It's rethinkhomeInteriors.com/private app to fill out the application to be considered for our private coaching. And this is open to you if you are in the accelerate phase and you feel like maybe the group is overwhelming to you, or you are in one of the phases of business at the time of this recording in August of 2024, where you're in either a growth or a leverage situation, and we don't have a staging business school program for you yet. So that is still available for you. So that is your SIP for the week. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye for now.